Carolyn, you are the Greta Thunberg of the over 50s. Well, here at Over 50s Wisdom, I think we're often talking about climate change. I mean, it is a hot topic for the over 50s, but what is it like for the younger generation? We have Carolyn here who has some pretty strong views. Carolyn, over to you.
Well, everyone always tells me I'm so opinionated on the subject, but I really don't understand why so many of the younger generation just don't seem to see the crisis that we're in. So I see teenagers throwing all sorts of things that should be going into the recycling straight into the bin.
And why are they doing this? Because aren't they getting educated at school? Isn't it the hottest topic for the youth?
Well, this is what I thought, because when I went to look at secondary schools for my son, they did teach ecological studies. So they're supposed to learn about these things, not just in geography, but they have these eco groups as well at school. So I asked the parents, why are your teenagers putting these things in the bin? Are they not learning this at school? Do you not talk about it? You've got recycling facilities, but these kids literally, they're drinking drinks out of plastic bottles, out of cans, just anything that should be recycled. Never mind crisp packets, which you can recycle at the supermarket. It's just pure laziness. They just dump it all in the bin and don't even think about putting it where they should put it.
So what do you put all this down to then? Parenting, schools? It can only be that, surely.
I think parents don't encourage children to watch the nature programmes anymore, like David Attenborough, because in Planet Earth 2, they did so much on it. My son's watched them. The little boy that I look after, he's watched them as well. But because his parents don't encourage them to do it, they just don't do it. They say all the right things, but they don't do the right things.
Right. Do you think this is it? Virtue signalling. I mean, we live in a world of virtue signalers who, do as I say, not do as I do. Now, you'd have thought that the young generations would be really bought into this with Greta Thunberg and all of that. Are they not listening to her? Are they not listening to the news? Where are they getting their information from? Just to think that it's okay to, mass consume plastic stuff and everything else and not recycle it, because it seems to be completely counterintuitive to me, because as far as I was aware, it was our generation that are responsible for all of this. This is what we've been told. And it's the young that really know what to do. But you're saying they don't and they're not doing it.
No, I think the young don't care enough. I think our generation, although we were the ones, so 1970s, 1960s, when plastic first became this magical material that would last for so long, even the man who invented the plastic bag, he didn't intend it to be a throwaway item. He used to fold it up, put it in his pocket and use it the next time he went shopping. This was the reason for it. It wasn't supposed to be, you have a plastic bag and you put every grocery in a plastic bag and then you throw it away when you're finished with it. He didn't intend it to be like that. But these kids just don't seem to get it. That they're blaming us for everything because we're the ones that created plastic. And we're the ones that started off this disposable culture, particularly in the 80s and the 90s. And it's got even worse now, in my opinion. But kids don't think twice about where they buy their food from either. Convenience food, none of that stuff gets recycled. Even coffee cups. Kids don't think twice about going into whichever coffee. I won't say a particular name in case I get in trouble. And tins, actually, in restaurants too, drinks in cans. They throw them away. They don't even put them in the recycling. And those are people that are younger than me. They're in their 20s usually.
So what do we do? What should they be doing? And why isn't whatever should be getting done?
I think people are just hoping that the governments of the world will step in and say, right, no more plastics, and that is going to solve the issue. But it isn't going to happen, because you do need plastic in certain parts of, like, healthcare. Where would we be without plastic syringes and plastic for the intravenous bags and things like that? It is needed in certain things.
Are you saying then that the youth of today just expect someone else to solve the problem It's like and do they think then that their small actions don't make a difference?
I absolutely do think that. I think they're not looking at Greta because what she's looking at is the bigger picture and she's being informed by science. But people see her as a doomsday prophet. So they don't take her seriously, which I think is a terrible shame. She's a very intelligent young lady who can think for herself, look at the science, and then help other people try and understand it in a simpler way. Yet kids don't seem to be getting it. And then
So,
parents like her because she's encouraging kids to stripe off school.
of course, is it selfishness then? Do we live in a society of selfish people?
Yeah, I think we do.
So it's mad consumerism. And it is really, when you boil it down, the parents to blame, because if all parents were like you, teaching their kids, to recycle, care for the environment, realize that they too, as an individual, could make a difference, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. So it does boil down in what, as far as I can see, from modern parenting. So how do you solve that problem without offending everybody?
It's a tricky one because I do agree to a certain extent that governments and big companies have to take responsibility. But unless individual consumers start thinking about what they're buying, why they're buying it, I mean, we're in a cost crisis at the moment, cost of living crisis. Why is everybody still buying everything that they don't need, they're not going to use, and filling up their cupboards with it? It's just nonsense. People just do not get that they don't need this stuff. And they really just buying for the sake of buying. They're not thinking about the planet. They're not thinking about the future of their kids. They just expect someone else to sort it out. It's like the amount of times I've heard people say, what difference can one person make? Well, one person, like Greta Thunberg, has created a massive following worldwide, not so much in this country, I'd argue, but she's made a difference in raising awareness of these things. But people are not prepared to take the actions and put their money where their mouth is.
Because they're selfish, I think.
Yes,
We live in
I
a
do.
very selfish society.
Yeah,
But what do you
exactly.
do about it then, Carolyn? Where can people go? Where do you go? Who are you talking to about this? Are there any Facebook groups, websites? Who's really getting behind this movement to tell the youth, come on, pull your socks up, put your money where your mouth is, and do something and stop being so damned lazy? I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough that's aimed at young people. For me, the excuses that I hear mostly about people not becoming more sustainable or ecological is cost. People always go, well, this item. So, for example, I buy a combined shampoo conditioner bar. It's £8, but it lasts for at least 63 washes. If you were washing your hair with shampoo out of a bottle, it would not last you 63 washes or anywhere even close to that.
Hang
You,
on a
you,
minute. This sounds very scientific. You've actually counted the washes.
oh yeah, because I've heard this argument so many times. Most of these ethical things are made in England.
Well, and
Most
that's
people,
a good thing, because all of this transporting stuff, cheap stuff from the Far East, is horrendous for the environment. And that's a big bugbear of mine, especially when people go to places like Primark and buy t-shirts for £1. It drives me mad because, one, they're very unenvironmentally friendly, and two, they're quite possibly made by child slaves somewhere,
mm,
which is probably another story. But come on then, Caroline, what can you do? Where can you direct people?
you can find so much out there on the internet. But as far as teaching our kids is concerned, most of the things that they're interested in is what they see on TikTok. So someone suggested, including my son, that I go on TikTok and talk about it, but I'm not quite sure I'm ready for that.
Your son has absolutely nailed it. That's where you should be. You should be the face of it and try and encourage them to do the things that you say right. But for viewers watching this on Over 50's Wisdom, who are over 50 or under 50, makes no difference, are there any sites and websites for them to visit to get some top tips on how to save, environmentally speaking, and also money? You touched on that. You can definitely save money by doing this. Or Facebook groups. Is there any way you can direct us?
So the one that's on the Isle of Wight is called Earth Conscious. They produce deodorant bars. They also do ones in cardboard containers. Another one that I use, which is brilliant, and it actually saves loads of money. All of us have to use lip balms, especially in winter, and us ladies like lip tints and things. My favourite for that is Nirvana Naturals. Their lip balms are huge compared to what you would buy normally in Boots or supermarkets. They cost £5.75 and literally last for months and months. So Nirvana Naturals is one that I always go to. I would advise everybody to cut down on face creams because you really don't need them. One good face cream is all you need.
I mean, this is obviously a real passion for you. But again, what advice can you offer people? Because if they were to have to analyze every single object that they have in their house, every item that they buy, it really does take a very long time. So it is then, what the point I'm trying to get at is there no focal point people can go to search all. Well, there's your opportunity, I think. If you've got the time, you need to compile all this information on a website or a Facebook page for people to go to and type in best creams, peanut butters, lip balms, and all of this. And you can do your bit, not just with your friends, but internationally. I'll help you. I'll put the links here.
Yeah, that is a good idea. I should get onto that because it does take research.
Let's tie it down to a few top tips for people watching this and they want to make a difference. What are the best ways of starting to, help the environment, help the climate, the little baby steps before you set up this Facebook page and website to guide us all to live a better, more climate-friendly life? What are the best top tips?
First thing, think before you buy. Do you need it? Will you use it? And how often will you use it? If it's only a one-off, don't buy it because you don't need it and you won't use it.
That's it. And that's money saving as well. Okay, number two.
Number two, find a brand that you really like and stick with it.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Is there a number three?
Number three, I would say, don't just give up after trying the first thing, because that may not be the ideal one for you. Everybody's different.
And what about buying local, at least maybe in your own area, but certainly within Britain?
Yes, that's really easy because a lot of the eco companies are UK based.
Okay.
So my laundry liquid comes from Yorkshire. My soap bars come from Yorkshire. So it's doing road miles, no air miles, no ship miles.
Brilliant. Love that. Okay. Is there a four?
Oh, there's loads. Sort your recycling out properly.
Sort your recycling out properly. That's a good one.
Yeah. Supermarkets, remember, they will recycle soft plastics. That's another one. That's probably a separate one. Nearly all supermarkets have a really tall bin and you can put any plastic bags in there. So crisp packets, the ones that are usually difficult to recycle because they've got a foil type lining, those can go in there. Bread bags can go in there.
I didn't know that.
Frozen pea bags can go in there. All of the soft plastics can go in that bin. It's usually near the toilets. I have no idea why. It would be better if it was on the entrance as you went in.
These are very good, easy to understand, easy to follow tips for ordinary people like me that I'm certainly not doing nearly enough. So any more?
Yep. Always look in charity shops for designer clothes.
Like that. I do that.
Yep, I do too.
Yeah. Yes, charity shops, brilliant. So that was number 6. Number 7.
Think about how much water you use because it's not necessary to use a lot. There is a misnomer about dishwashers that they use less water, but if you think about how you wash something in a sink, you don't need to fill the sink with washing up water. You can put washing up water in half of it and then rinse the dishes under the tap running into the sink for the rest of it.
Very good. I'm learning all the time. Number 8. Tell me when to stop asking you for numbers.
There are different options for washing machines, so see which one suits you. Always go non-bio, and you use less of an eco-friendly one than you do of a normal one. So it's another cost saving, because you're only using 35 mils as opposed to using half a cup or a full cup to do a normal load of laundry.
Okay, so I'm still following. I can do all of these things. What else can I do?
Plant-based does not always mean good, because a lot of them contain soy and a lot of them contain sustainable palm. But I try to avoid sustainable palm, because what makes the palm sustainable?
Wow. Okay, so this is almost like a full-time occupation for you, this, Carolyn. It has to be, otherwise you just don't sleep. So you're putting a lot of work into this. So are you going to let me know when you compile this easy to navigate website and Facebook page?
Oh yeah, I definitely will, because this country is horrendous at recycling. We've had the opportunity to create a recycling industry, and instead we send it abroad, which is totally ridiculous, because you could create thousands of jobs here doing it, but there's only very few recycling plants here.
But again, that's counterintuitive. And don't you think it is an awful lot of virtue signaling? We're going to recycle, we're going to package this stuff up, and then they put it in a big diesel burning tanker and ship it off to the third world, where people are working for a few dollars a day. But because we, as a society, and other people that control us, can't see it, it's okay. We're being virtuous. We're tidying up our own mess. It is a bit of a mess, but we need more people like you over 50, I think, Carolyn, to educate us all, to help us all. So you've given us some good tips to get started.
I've got another.
Oh, go on. One more. Go on.
Reduce, reuse, recycle. So first of all, reduce what you buy. Second of all, reuse. So that can be repurposed something, because I do that with furniture. And then the last one is recycle. If we all thought like that, there'd be a whole lot less rubbish. Why are we not demanding it? It's just nonsense.
Well, again, you see, I'm throwing it back to you, because you've got all this information that you've researched very heavily. You know your stuff, but you've got to get this down somewhere where hundreds of thousands or millions of people can access it quickly without having to put all the hard work in that you've done. If you do that, I think you really will make a difference. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do it, but I've got another one for you as well for the list. Always carry a reusable cup. You can get bamboo ones or use a metal bottle. My son's got a metal bottle for school. I have one for work. I've got a bamboo cup if I want to do coffee. And if you're going on a long train journey, take a thermos flask. It'll save you loads of money on buying coffees when you're traveling.
Well, I've got to tell you, I do that. I even have a personalised thermos flask with my name, David, written on it. It's big, and I take it everywhere I go. So I'm also an eco-warrior.
Yeah, brilliant.
Carolyn, you're brilliant. Let's chat again when you get your website and your Facebook page up. How's that?
Yep, I'll definitely do it.
It's brilliant to meet you. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.